Jnana bheda harenatmani vidyate chidanandaika rupatva deepyate svayameva hi. Jnatri, knower. Jnana, knowledge. Jnaya, object of knowledge. Bhedaha, these differences. Hare, supreme. Na, not. Atmani, in the self. Vidyate, is. Chidanandaika rupatvat, because the being of the nature of knowledge and bliss, deepyate, shines. Svayam, by itself. Eva, alone. He, verily. Being of the nature of exceeding bliss, the Supreme Self does not admit the distinction of knower, knowing, and the object of knowledge. It alone shines. Namaste. Being of the nature of exceeding bliss. So if someone is not blissful, means they don't know the self. If they're carping and complaining and criticizing and arguing and bitching about this and that, they have not realized the self. So what to speak of the political, religious people who form cults and groups and divide things into sanghas. My sangha is better than your sangha. See, this is not unity. So it can't be based on Brahman, because Brahman is one. The self is identical in all creatures, and indeed everywhere and in everything. The basis is Brahman, the self, consciousness, pure consciousness. That means there is no division. Like here it says, the distinction of knower, knowing, and the object does not exist in Brahman. Brahman is one and knows itself completely and perfectly. So see, this whole idea of divide and conquer is simply politics. It's simply aggression. Draw a line in the sand and you say, this is my country and that is your country. And it means there's going to be a fight. Like my friends from South Carolina used to say, nas not for a naf fight. No, really, because you are artificially dividing what is actually undivided. And then attaching it, yours and mine. There's going to be a fight. It's inevitable. So the people who create nations and nation states and various areas claiming to be colonies and stuff like that, they're simply preparing the ground for war. Because nobody wants to be under the authority of someone from another place, from another land, from another culture. And certainly nobody wants to be under economic exploitation in those terms. So, of course, they're going to rebel. They're going to fight it. They'll resist it. It's natural. Because actually everything is one. Even the universe, although it may seem to have so many moving parts, is actually one complete conception from beginning to end. And there actually are no divisions. If you zoom in close enough, everything merges into everything else. Or if you zoom out far enough, everything is simply one. So this is the nature of reality. Not divisions into you and me and yours and mine and theirs and ours, us and them. That's nonsense. That is what causes all of the trouble in the world. If we could see that actually everything is one and everyone is one, there would be no war, no fighting, no competition, no anxiety, no fear. Fear only comes when there is an other, because then there is someone else who can do you harm. But when all is one, there is no fear. Back in Satya Yuga, people understood all this. It was natural. Well, it's still natural, but people have departed so far from the natural state of being that they can't understand. They can only understand in terms of distinctions. Now, discrimination is an important part of the spiritual path, at least in the beginning. One has to distinguish or discriminate between the real and the unreal. The real is Brahman, the eternal, the one. The unreal is Maya, the many. So try to understand, this is the actual criterion of reality. Then once you realize Brahman, once you know the self as it is, then there's no more distinctions, no more discriminations. Like it says in Brihadaranyaka, once to the knower of the self, everything is seen as Brahman, then what can one know? And through what? In other words, there is no more knower, knowing, and object of knowledge. There is no more distinction between this and that. Everything is one. And this is the nature or the view that leads to exceeding bliss. What is that? Bliss that's too much. It's overflowing. It's over the top. My cup runneth over. Because, this is easy to experience. Just do a little anapanasati, mindfulness of breathing. Put the attention at the tip of the nose, sit down in a quiet place, and just watch the breath. Within a few minutes, you're going to start feeling bliss. And of course, this is nothing compared to the bliss of Brahman. Brahman is like all bliss all the time. You don't have to sit down and do anything special. Once you know Brahman, everything is bliss. Why? This is our nature. This is really who we are. This is really the self. This is the reality with a capital R, self with a capital S. And that is naturally bliss. It only gets covered over when there are divisions, distinctions, boundaries, divisions. Those are the precursor for suffering. So we have to get to the point where we can see everything as one. And that means the platform of consciousness, self-consciousness, Brahman. Brahman alone shines. That means Brahman alone is the consciousness that is in everything. Consciousness is absolute, especially consciousness of consciousness, awareness of awareness. That's Turiya, the fourth state, which is really the zeroth state because it's the origin of all the other states of consciousness. And when we pass from one to another, say from waking consciousness, consciousness of the senses and the world, into dreaming consciousness, in that gap, we can find Turiya. and similarly coming out from sleep. This is why we are enjoined by the Vedas to do sadhana first thing in the morning. As soon as we awaken, best before dawn, while everything is still dark and silent. And go into the self and meditate on the self and realize that aham brahmasmi, I am the self. I am Brahman. What else could I be? If I am conscious, I am Brahman. If I am not the objects of consciousness, nor the process of consciousness itself, then there are no distinctions, there are no boundaries, there are no divisions. Brahman alone shines as one, and that is the basis of overflowing bliss.
Tat Sat Om Shakti